Welcome to Matters Concerning Families, because families do matter. My name is Suzanne, and this is
It's Patrick.
Yes, my dear husband.
And my dear wife. I'm going to let my wife lead in this today because she's going to speak on women's roles in the home, and I may add some comments.
Okay, that sounds good. Before we go much further, please like, share, and subscribe. So today we would like to talk about wives a little bit. There's a lot of controversy because in this society today, because of women's lib and all these kind of movements that, I am woman and
There's a little put down a woman.
Yeah, people feel that today that the woman has to go out there and be a lawyer and a doctor. And I'm not disagreeing with those occupations, but I'm just saying, like, the way that you feel, satisfied is
right,
if
you won't be satisfied.
If you have a career and like you're in charge and you're not vulnerable. I want to say today that yes, there may be need for those professions, and I'm not like saying that a woman should ever head in that direction. But in the home, there's a special place for a wife, and there's a special role. Now, the first thing is just the general role of submission to the husband. Let him be the governor. Let him be in charge, because that is actually how God designed it, right? In the garden, man was created before woman, and woman came from man. She didn't come like besides man or ahead of man.
Mm-hmm.
So if a woman can understand that principle, and I think deep down in a woman's heart, that's right.
Can I add? So the man might be the head of the home, but the woman's the heart of the home.
That is so completely true. And when we say submission, we're not saying you lose your brains. We're not saying that you're a slave servant. If a husband is a truly good governor and husband of the home, you're going to have a lot of authority. You're going to have a lot of duties, a lot of challenging and fulfilling things in life to do.
And I would add, husbands, if you're so concerned about your wife following you and saying she's not a good wife, it's probably because you're not the leader that you should be.
And yes, that's really good. And in terms of a wife, there are so many exciting, there's a lot of things in life that will branch out from your submission.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like in my days, I can say that, when we were married earlier on, with your permission or whatever, I was a nurse for a period of time, and then there came a place where we made a decision, or you made a decision, but it was together. An agreement that I would be in the home. We had 7 children, and there were a lot of things to do. Very challenging. Like, I worked in an intensive care unit in a hospital, and that's very challenging work. But I have to say that raising the children in the home and maintaining a semblance of sanity and peace and routine was even more challenging, and it did require some skills, like a mothering skills and so many skills. I've heard it preached in a message, or it's like you're a doctor and a lawyer and you're negotiating, and you're doing everything. You're a financier, with the groceries or whatever it is. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. That was submission. But I also wanted to talk about, or maybe this should be another podcast, just mention it very quickly before we end, is how a wife should talk.
That's good.
Or I'm just bringing this up because this is a very common problems or things, not necessarily could be problems or could be good. But number one, a wife should talk and have respect for her husband, because that will set the tone of the home. Also, it will help the children to develop properly if they see, if you do things in a respectful way, even disagreeing, whatever it is.
Right.
And I'm not saying I've been perfect in this, but marriage teaches you these things. That's something that's very important, that a wife would revere and respect and support her husband.
I would say this. There's a Chinese proverb that says, it's harder to raise a family than than to rule a nation. And there's truth in that. Bless the mothers that are working in the homes. They are talented, they're gifted,
Yes.
they have a tremendous, tremendous job to do. Most of the time, all the time, greater than the husband, in the sense that a lot of their time is nurturing the children and helping them to grow into real useful men and women. And the father needs to take an active role. But you know what? When both are in their roles, it's beautiful to behold. And what comes out from it is
But that's
wonderful.
what I was going to say, the
children.
results. You can see the results if you, and like I said, this is a learning process. Like, you just don't get married a day when you have this down completely.
Right.
Even though you should have an understanding of where
Right.
you're supposed to be heading with this or what you're supposed to be doing. I think that's a really good thing to know how to do.
So if you do not see the finish line or the goal, how do you know where to go? And we're setting up the goal. This is what you want to do. This is where you want to end up.
So I think there's a few things maybe we'll just go ahead and talk in another podcast if that's fine with you.
Yes, it sounds good.
And we so much appreciate your time, and please tune in as we're getting better ourselves at doing these podcasts.
Yes, we're kind of trying to learn.
We're trying to learn, the background, everything else. We're trying
how
to
camera work,
how to talk,
audio.
everything else. Yeah,
We don't want to bore you,
Yeah.
but we want to get important information out. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes, and please comment if you have anything to send.
Thank you.